You know what I just realized? You didn't say a video on tanking. You said a video on healing. Don't know why you didn't correct me. Oh well. How about we do the same thing with healing we did with tanking? How about every healer explained in under 3 minutes? Glare is your single target spell. Use on 1 to 2 targets, otherwise use Holy. Deer is your damage over time. Keep it up as much as possible and reapply when there is 2 to 0 seconds remaining. It's also an instant cast and does impact damage, so if you have no other movement tool, it does something. Use these off cooldown. A size can be slightly delayed to heal raid-wide damage, or when there are multiple enemies for big damage. Presence of Mind, also known as POM, is your 2-minute offensive cooldown. It makes your cast go zoom, and also allows you to use free Glare 4s for even bigger damage, and are even instant cast, so you can use them for movement. Just make sure to use all 3 during the 2-minute burst window. These are your healing GCDs. Never press these 2 unless you're low level. These 4 are situational. Cure 2 and Regen for single target, Cure 3 and Medica 3 for AoE. These should only be used if you don't have any lilies. If you do have lilies, use these, Rapture for single target healing and Solace for AoE healing. You can hold up to 3 lilies, try not to overcap them even if it means overhealing. Using a lily turns it into a blood lily. 3 blood lilies allows the execution of a Flatus Misery. Use this for big AoE damage or during the 2-minute burst window, or to avoid overcapping blood lilies. All of Flatus spells are also instant cast, making them great for movement. These are your healing OGCDs. Use these to minimize GCD healing so you can do more damage. Benediction instantly tops someone off. Tetragrammaton is basically an OGCD Cure 2 or Rapture. Divine Benison shields a target, and Aquaveil reduces damage taken by 15% on target. All these being your single target healing OGCDs, ideal for keeping your main tank topped or for spot healing non-tanks when needed. Asylum creates a healing over time bubble at your designated area. Good general party sustain when you don't need immediate healing. Plenary Indulgence adds an extra healing effect to your AoE heals, essentially buffing your AoE healing, making it a great burst heal ability. Temperance, also known as Wings, increases your healing output by 20%, reduces damage taken on yourself and party by 10%, and allows the execution of Divine Charis, shielding yourself and party. This ability is mostly used as your AoE mitigation to reduce incoming damage on raid wides. And Liturgy of the Bell. This places a flower at a designated location that heals you and your party every time you take damage up to 5 times, ideal for multi-hit stacks or multiple instances of damage happening at short intervals. But you can also manually use this for all remaining stacks for a big burst heal at half the cure potency it normally would. Thin Air nullifies MP cost of next action, mostly good for raise or AoE heals like Cure 3 or Medica 3. It has 2 stacks, so you can use one stack on a Glare to keep it on cooldown for MP economy if needed. Finally, Ethereal Shift, this is your gap closer. It sends you forward 15 yalms, good mobility, and can save you casts, but just be mindful not to fall off the arena or dash into a death wall when using it. Broil is your single target spell, which should only be used when there is one target, otherwise use Art of War. Biolysis is your dot, keep it up as much as possible and reapply when there is 2 to 0 seconds remaining. Ruin 2 is good for movement if you have no other choice and can't slide cast or use swift cast on Broil. Use this off cooldown, it's your 2-minute offensive and debuffs target, making them 10% more susceptible to being critically hit. Upon use, you'll also be allowed to use Baneful Impactation, a potent AoE dot. These are your healing GCDs, throw this one in the trash. Adloquium is your single target shield. Consultation is your AoE equivalent. Emergency Tactics can be used to replace the shield effect with a stronger heal for emergency situations when no other resources are available. This also applies to your shield spells as there are other alternatives. Press this off cooldown. It restores 20% of your maximum MP and grants 3 stacks of Aether Flow. Aether Flow can be spent on these abilities. Lustrate is a good spot heal. Sacred Soil places a bubble at a designated area, reducing damage taken by 10% and regenning allies who stand within the bubble. Good for mitigating raid-wide damage and sustaining your party. Indomitability is an AoE heal, and Excogitation triggers a big heal when target is at or reduced to 50% health, or timer expires. Also good for spot healing, but also proactive healing. Also Energy Drain, this does single target damage. It's good for dumping unneeded Aether Flow stacks when Aether Flow is about to come off cooldown, or if you're just a funny coloured number chaser. Recitation makes the next Adloquium, Consultation, Indomitability, or Excogitation critically heal, and the latter 2 to not cost an Aether Flow stack. This is usually used for Indomitability when big AoE healing is needed, but it's also good when paired paired with Adloquium and Deployment Tactics. This ability spreads the Adloquium from target onto nearby party members, and you can also pair this with Protraction that increases target's HP and healing received by 10% and heals the amount. And if you want to stack it even further, you can use Dissipation that dismisses your fairy for 30 seconds, grants 3 stacks of Aether Flow, and increases the healing you do by 20%. This can also be used as a DPS cooldown for more energy drains or emergency heals. Speaking of your fairy, it also does stuff. This includes Embrace, a single target heal, which it does automatically, Whispering Dawn, an AoE regen, Fey Illumination, which increases GCD healing by 10% and reduces magical damage taken by 5%, and Fey Blessing, an AoE heal. It can also be commanded to use Aether Pact on a party member, tethering them and healing them if you have the gauge. This gauge holds up to 100 and you get 10 gauge per Aether Flow stack spent. Using any other fairy action will cancel this effect, but the tether is stronger than Embrace, making it good for your tank or to gradually heal a non-tank if they are not in need of immediate healing. Every 2 minutes you can also upgrade your fairy into Seraph. This will give her Embrace shields and 2 stacks of Consolation for AoE shielding, which saves you from having to shield the party. She can also use Whispering Dawn and Fey Illumination, but not Fey Blessing. Lastly, some utility. Expedient reduces damage taken by 10% on all party members for 20 seconds and increases movement speed for 10 seconds, another substitute for GCD shielding. And finally, Seraphim. Regenning all party members are increasing the healing potency of Adloquium and Consultation and makes them instant cast and reduce emergency tactics cooldown to 1 second, and this lasts 20 seconds. This is mostly used for regen in an optimal setup, but the instant cast shields make it extremely versatile for progression too. Malefic is your single target spell. Gravity is your AoE spell, used on 2 or more targets. Combust is your dot, does impact damage and is an instant cast. Keep it up as much as possible and reapply it when there are 2 or less seconds remaining. This ability draws cards. The balance increases damage and should ideally be used on a melee or tank. The arrow increases target's incoming healing and the spire shields target. Both are tank fodder or to help spot heal a non-tank. And the lord does AoE damage. After 60 seconds you can use draw again to get a new set of cards. The spear, like the balance, increases damage but should be used on a ranged or healer. The bowl reduces damage on target and the ewer gives target a regen. Like the arrow and spire, both are tank fodder or tools to help with spot healing, and the lady does AoE healing. You can use both the balance and spear on a melee and range respectively every 2 minutes if you hold onto the previously drawn card and use it before drawing the new set. This is easy to track because this cooldown is your 2-minute offensive. You should use this off cooldown. It increases yourself and party members damage and also allows the execution of Oracle for big AoE damage. You also have a lot of buttons to press during the burst window, so use this to help. Lightspeed reduces your cast time by 2.5 seconds, which makes almost every spell an instant cast, giving you room to double weave OGCDs between each cast. It holds 2 stacks, so you can save 1 for movement and have 1 for the 2-minute burst window. These are your healing GCDs. These 2 should only be used when you don't have access to these 2. Benefit 2 for single target, Aspected Helios for AoE healing and regen. You also have Aspected Benefit that applies a regen to target. If you press neutral sect, it'll add a shield to Aspected Benefit and Aspected Helios, increasing healing potency by 20% and allows the execution of Sun Sign that reduces damage taken by 10% on yourself and all nearby party members. Other options of mitigation include Collective Unconscious that channels a bubble, reducing damage taken by 10% to all nearby allies for 5 seconds, and a regen effect to allies within the bubble. This is mostly used for the mitigation just before damage and then cancelled. Meanwhile, these are your single target mitigations. Exaltation reduces damage taken by 10% and heals the target when the effect expires, while Celestial Intersection heals and shields the target and holds 2 charges. As for pure single target healing, you have Essential Dignity that heals a target and heals more the lower the target's HP is and holds 3 charges, and Sinistry that can be used on an ally and any single target healing spells used on another ally. This Sinistry target will also receive a heal worth 40% of the original spell. All of these make great tank or non-tank spot healing tools. Other AoE healing tools include Celestial Opposition, Earthly Star, and Macrocosmos. Celestial Opposition is an AoE heal and regen. Earthly Star places a star at designated location and covers a large area. This can be pressed again to trigger Stellar Burst, dealing damage to enemies and healing allies caught in its radius. But it's better to wait 10 seconds as it upgrades into Earthly Dominance that increases its damage and healing output. Macrocosmos is your big 3-minute cooldown. It deals neutral single target damage and is a gain on 2. It also buffs self and allies for 15 seconds. During this buff, the effect will compile 50% of damage taken into a heal and heal an additional 200 key potency. This can be manually triggered or waited out until the timer expires, creating an exceptionally strong heal on multi-hit stacks and is still valuable for hard-hitting raid wides or damage that is less than 15 seconds apart. Dosis is your single target spell, while Dyscrasia is your AoE spell and should be used over Dosis on 2 or more targets. Pressing Eucrasia will turn Dosis and Dyscrasia into a dot. Keep this up as much as possible and reapply when there is 2 or less seconds remaining. These 2 dots do not stack. These are your resource-based damage spells. Phlegma does AoE damage on target and should be pressed twice during the 2-minute burst window and once outside. It's also an instant cast, making it a great mobility tool. Psyche is up every minute and should be pressed off cooldown. Toxicon requires 1 Adder Sting stack, which can be stacked up to a maximum of 3. It's an instant cast AoE that does neutral damage on single target and is a gain on 2, making it good for movement and AoE. These are your healing GCDs. Diagnosis does single target healing, Prognosis does AoE healing. Pressing Eucrasia turns these 2 into shields, which is what they should primarily be used for. If Diagnosis or the Prognosis shield on yourself breaks, it'll generate 1 Adder Sting stack. If you just want healing, you can use Pepsis to convert currently applied shields into a heal. This is your resource-based healing gauge. It holds up to 3 Adder's Gull, which generate 1 every 20 seconds and can be spent on these abilities. This one is good single target healing. This one is also good single target healing, but also gives 10% damage reduction on target. This one is an AoE heal, and this one mitigates damage by 10% and regens everyone. Each usage of these abilities restores 7% of your maximum MP, and you can even instantly get 1 Adder's Gull stack by using this ability. These are your cooldown based heals. Press this for a big burst heal. It also does neutral damage and is a gain on 2 or more targets. Press this to make your next GCD heal stronger. Its best use is on Eucrasia shields or Numa. This increases healing received and gives everyone a regen effect for 15 seconds. This gives your target a reapplying shield with 5 stacks. Any leftover stacks will heal the target when the effect expires. This does the same, but on all allies, and is slightly weaker. Great for multi-hit stacks or staggered damage. This gives everyone a shield and reduces damage taken by 10% for 20 seconds. This gives target 20% more healing received. This is passive healing. You give it to a target and any damage spells you do heals the target a fixed amount. Mostly used on the main tank, but can be swapped to non-tanks to gradually heal them too. You can use this to increase its healing by 70% for the next 4 damage spells. This is your big 3-minute cooldown. It increases healing by 20% and also applies a slightly weaker cardia to everyone for 20 seconds, which can be treated as a regen. While the 20% increased healing is nice to make stronger additional regens or shields. Oh yeah, and this is your gap closer. It dashes you towards a party member or enemy within 25 yards, which is probably one of the longest range gap closers in the game. And that's every healer explained in under 3 minutes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to do all the YouTube things and check out my channel for more in-depth guides, which may or may not be fully updated. Either way, if you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon, where you can vote on upcoming video ideas, get early access to those videos, and even get your name in the credits like these beautiful individuals. But with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take it easy and goodbye.